What is going on, YouTube? Andrew Miller from hook'emheadlines.com coming back at you today with my post-game reaction, breakdown, and analysis for Texas basketball and their big 69-66 win on the road today in Manhattan over the number 7 Kansas State Wildcats. Texas got its first ranked win on the road this season, this afternoon, and avoided the regular season series sweep at the hands of Kansas State. This was just a really, really big win. I use the simple word of just massive to describe it because this win accomplishes quite a few things for Texas and Rodney Terry. First of which, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, most of you know, Texas gets to remain atop the Big 12 standings with this win over K-State. Kansas State was actually the team that could tie Texas atop the Big 12 standings and technically hold the tiebreaker at that point. In terms of the regular season title and the seeding for the Big 12 tournament, if Kansas State had won today, that would have put both teams at a record of 8-3 atop the Big 12 standings. Actually, I think Iowa State's there too now, so it actually would have been a three-way tie atop the Big 12. But you know, there's just so many ways that being atop the Big 12, more than halfway through the Big 12 slate, is so important for Texas, especially given, you know, some of the controversy and tough times that this team has had to fight through this season. But the second thing that I think is just massive about this win for Texas is the ability to kind of get that road monkey off your back. Again, I mentioned that Texas didn't have a single ranked win away from, not just on the road, but away from the Moody Center this season. If you include the Jimmy V Classic that Texas fell short, that Texas lost to Illinois back on, I believe that was December 1st or December 6th. But you finally get that, you finally get that kind of confidence and momentum that, you know, you can win on the road against a top 10 team. You just handed Kansas State their first loss of the season at Bramlage Coliseum. They had previously beaten two top 25 teams there, and so that is obviously massive. It's nice to just be able to avenge the loss that happened last month at the Moody Center. But I would say the last just like massive thing that this win does for you is it gets you at least to a mark of 500 through what is the most difficult 4-game stretch of the season that Texas is currently in. It started last weekend against number 4 Tennessee. Then continued on Monday against number 11 Baylor, and then you had number 7 Kansas State today, and then next Monday you have number 8 Kansas on the road. So being able to get this win allows you to split the most difficult 4-game stretch of the season, and Texas might actually be able to come out of this with a winning record. We'll see what happens at Allen Fieldhouse on Monday. But I mean, for those 3 reasons, this win means a whole lot to the Texas basketball program. You know, Shane Black, someone that joins me on a lot of these videos at hook'emheadlines.com, he did a article before the Baylor game. Yeah, I believe it was either before the Baylor or the Tennessee game, saying that this stretch that Texas is in right now is season defining, and to some degree, at least regular season defining, I think would probably be a good way to put it. You know, if Texas can make it through this, it would, you know, they're already at a record of 2-1. With a record of 3-1, then I think that puts them in the territory of a top 5 team in the country, and also puts them in the territory of getting a 1 or a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament as you head down the stretch this season. But yeah, let's kind of dig into some of the finer points of this 3-point win over Kansas State. I want to mention some standouts. There are 2 names that really come to mind in this regard. Texas got huge games off the bench from Christian Bishop and Sir'Jabari Rice. Bishop in particular was massive down the stretch. He had a couple blocks, couple steals in this game. You know, I in my post-game article, my studs and duds, which I'll link in the description below, you know, I mentioned this, but he's the first reserve player in the Big 12 this season to put up at least 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in a game. And he actually put up 14 points, tying a game high with Sir'Jabari Rice. The energy he brought down low, the way that he was able to dominate in the paint, and, you know, kind of that two-way presence he brought down low for Texas was immeasurable. You know, this is the type of presence that Texas has needed in the paint throughout most of the season, And, when you have guys like Timmy Allen, like Dylan Dessou that aren't coming with their best game, like we saw in this win over Kansas State, you need a guy like Christian Bishop to be able to provide that energy, that two-way production off the bench, and that's exactly what he gave Texas in this game. Sir'Jabari Rice, again, another massive performance off the bench. In the last 3 games now, he's averaging around 19 points per game on better than 50% shooting from the field and better than 50% shooting from beyond the arc. He put it 21 in the loss to Tennessee and then 21 in the win over Baylor, and then 14 points in the win today. Also added 10 rebounds, his first double-double of the season. 3 of which came on the offensive glass. I wanted to mention that for Bishop. He had 5 offensive rebounds, which is a season high for him. So that is obviously huge. Gave Texas a lot of possessions back. Gave them a lot of second chance points. But Rice, he didn't get the job done in the prettiest of ways in this game. He shot just 2 of 6 from the field. But when you're only taking 6 field goal attempts and you're putting up 14 points, you're doing something right. That means you're maximizing a lot of offensive possessions. One of my favorite stats in basketball is points per field goal attempt. If you're posting more than 2 points per field goal attempt, that's way above what you would see from the average player in college hoops. I'm usually considering it a success if someone's scoring at a higher volume or even in the double figures if they're putting up 1 to 1.2 points per field goal attempt, depending on where you're taking your shots from. And how often you're able to draw contact and get to the line. But he was able to get it done at the free throw line at this game, went 8 of 9, had a lot of clutch baskets, some clutch free throws late for Texas, and obviously had some clutch rebounds. Texas did get out rebounded by 1 in this game, but Kansas State is one of the best rebounding teams in the Big 12. Texas has struggled on the glass at times this season, and so Rice's 10 boards were huge. I mentioned Bishop had a first as a reserve player in the Big 12 this season in this game, and Rice did too. He's the first player in the Big 12 to have 14 points and 10 boards off the bench in a game. He ran into some foul trouble. I believe he finished the game with 4 personal fouls and then ended up with only 18 minutes. 18 minutes, having 18 minutes and 14 points, 10 rebounds coming from it, that's insane. He was great in this game. A few other players that I thought were still solid for Texas, even if it might have come in more limited minutes or might not have had the kind of flashiest stat line. Dylan Mitchell, he still only went 1 of 2 from the field, finished up with 2 points, 3 boards, not his best game in that regard, but he ended up with a steal, had a couple nice defensive possessions where he was really able to limit what Kansas State did, especially when Texas was switching. But he had 4 assists. I believe that is a season high for him. And it tied a game high with Timmy Allen and Marcus Carr. Him being able to put up 4 assists and just 1 turnover, having that other source of distribution of the basketball from a kind of an unsuspecting source is huge. I wanted to give a shout to Tyrese Hunter. I know that a lot of people are going to have a qualm with the way that Tyrese Hunter still played in this game. He had 3 turnovers, only 1 assist, but the fact of the matter is he scored in the double figures again. I need to look back at the last couple of games for him to see to kind of see the pace he's on lately, but he went 4 of 8 from the field. I believe he had 1 or 2. Finished with 1 3-pointer. 2 rebounds, 1 steal. He was a lot more locked in on the defensive end of the floor in this game, and had some important baskets for Texas. He scored in the double figures for the 2nd straight game. It's the first time that he's posted more than 22 points in back-to-back or in a 2-game stretch. I believe since November. So seems that he's starting to find some sort of a semblance of an offensive rhythm again, and so that's big. We'll continue to watch and hope that he improves his play down the stretch and becomes more of a factor come March and April. I did want to mention a couple duds in this game as well. This guy made the duds list not because of the way he played, but I would have liked to see him get more run. Brock Cunningham. I think this is more on the coaching staff. I would like to. He only got 16 minutes off the bench in this game. Shot 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. I know he got into foul trouble, but he didn't end up fouling out. I would like to see at least get around the 18 to 20 minute mark in this game. I think he should probably be utilized a little bit more than he is. I had a post on our Twitter page the other day that this was as of a few days ago, but he was and might still be the leader in 3-point shooting percentage among all Big 12 players since the start of last season, shooting around 47-48% from beyond the arc. And again, 1 of 2 today, so another efficient day in that regard. The other one, Marcus Carr, he ends up with a team-high 39 minutes played. I think his one-on-one defense was pretty good, but he stayed cold shooting from 3, finished 0 of 5. He's now 2 of 14 shooting from deep in the last 3 games, which is his worst stretch of the season. And he finishes up with 10 points, but these last 3 games for him have been this is definitely his worst 3-game stretch offensively of the season. You'd have to go back to last season to find a worse 3-game stretch. He didn't put up a single block or a steal. First time not putting up a steal since the Texas Tech back on January 14th. And all in all, I think if you said that, Marcus Carr is averaging 1 point every 4 minutes, that you would consider that, kind of a dud of an offensive outing, considering how well he's played for most of the season. But, I'll wrap it up at this. Texas played a really, really good game today against Kansas State. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that, Texas showed up on defense a lot better than they did in the last outing against Kansas State. I probably haven't mentioned that enough in the post-game coverage I've done today, but, Keontae Johnson, while he does go 6 of 10 from the field, he's held to 16 points. Marquise Noel goes 4 of 11 from the field, 0 of 5 from deep, 3 assists, 6 turnovers, 10 points. I don't know if y'all remember, Marquise Noel put up, I think it was 36 points the first time he played Texas this season. So Texas did a great job limiting some of the top weapons for Kansas State. Texas almost cut the point total in half compared to the first game in this one. So, Kansas State last time scored 116 on Texas, and today they scored 66. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this performance for Texas, how solid it was on both ends of the floor, especially to close it out, and how big this win could ultimately be for the Longhorns when you're looking a little ways down the road come March and April. But anyway, for Andrew Miller at Hook'emHeadlines.com, that's pretty much it.